Welcome back, my dear viewers, to an extraordinary journey into the fascinating world of coins, history, treasure, and unbelievable discoveries, where today we will unravel the secrets, stories, and hidden fortunes surrounding one of the most talked about coins in American numismatics, the 1990 Lincoln 1-cent penny. A small copper-plated coin that has captured the imagination of collectors around the world because of its mysterious reputation and its reported market value of $130 million, a number that seems absolutely staggering for a coin that originally carried a face value of just 1 cent yet has gone on to create legends, inspire dreams, and fuel an endless pursuit among passionate collectors who believe that in the palm of your hand could rest a fortune beyond imagination. The 1990 penny might look ordinary to most people, just another coin struck at the Denver Mint. One among billions of cents that flowed into circulation to keep the wheels of commerce turning, but behind its surface lies a story that intertwines with American history, numismatic tradition, minting technology, and the human desire to own something rare and irreplaceable. Every coin carries a piece of history, but some coins transcend their monetary purpose to become cultural icons, symbols of value, and relics of a nation's journey. The 1990 Lincoln cent has become one such coin, and its story is one worth telling in every detail. The Lincoln cent series began in 1909, introduced to celebrate the centennial birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a leader whose legacy shaped the nation through one of its most difficult periods, the Civil War. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent became the first widely circulating coin in American history to feature the portrait of a real person, and over the decades it became not only a tool of commerce but also a beloved collectible, filling penny boards and jars, carried in pockets, and exchanged in countless daily transactions. By the time 1990 arrived, the design had already become a permanent part of American culture, with the obverse displaying Lincoln's iconic profile and the reverse still bearing the image of the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, a view that connected the smallest denomination of American currency with one of the most important symbols of democracy. But what makes 1990 so captivating is not simply its design, but rather the incredible combination of rarity, preservation, and collector demand. In 1990, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of cents, most of them made from copper-plated zinc planchets, a change that had been introduced in 1982 to save costs when copper prices rose. For everyday Americans, the penny was worth almost nothing, a coin that often ended up in jars or tossed aside, yet among those billions of coins, a tiny handful emerged that would be destined to become treasures. The perfection of strike, the flawless surfaces, and the possibility of unique minting circumstances elevated certain examples of the 1990 penny to the highest levels of desirability. Collectors live for these discoveries. When a coin is found in extraordinary condition, with no marks, no blemishes, and surfaces that gleam as if freshly struck, it can earn the highest possible grades from professional grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC). Coins graded mint state 68 or higher are extremely rare, and when a 1990 penny achieves such a grade, it becomes almost one of a kind. In a hobby where collectors compete fiercely to own the best example of every coin, that kind of rarity can drive the price into unbelievable heights. The story becomes even more compelling when whispers arise of a single 1990 penny that surpassed all others, a coin of legendary quality, flawless, preserved in unimaginable condition, and eventually sold or at least valued at the astronomical figure of $130 million. This is a story that defies logic but captures the heart of numismatics. Just as in the art world where a canvas of paint can command hundreds of millions because of its uniqueness and the prestige attached to its ownership, so too can a coin transcend its humble origins and become a cultural masterpiece, a symbol of ultimate rarity and desirability. To understand why this coin can be valued so highly, one must also appreciate the psychology of collecting. Collectors are not only seeking coins as investments, they are seeking history, beauty, rarity, and status. To own the single most valuable penny in existence is to hold in your hand a symbol of both American heritage and unmatched exclusivity. For billionaires and institutions, paying 9 figures for such a coin is less about the metal and more about the story, the bragging rights, and the idea of owning something that no one else in the world can claim. Now let us journey back into the details of 1990. The United States Mint was operating at full capacity, striking coins at multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Denver Mint, identified by its D-Mint mark, produced vast quantities of Lincoln cents, but only a select few survived in pristine condition. Some collectors believe that early strikes, produced when dies were still fresh and polished, are sharper and more visually appealing. Others look for varieties such as doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or transitional errors. Every tiny variation can add to the fascination and potentially skyrocket the value. Error coins are particularly intriguing. Imagine a coin struck on the wrong planchet, or struck twice, or missing key details. These minting mistakes often escape quality control and enter circulation, only to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors years later. In the case of 1990, there were some notable varieties, including the famous 1990 No-S proof cent, which caused a sensation among collectors. Although that coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, its story adds to the mystique of the year as a whole, creating an atmosphere of rarity and excitement that spills over into the 1990D. What makes the 1990D story so compelling is that it bridges the gap between ordinary and extraordinary. On one hand, billions of 1990D cents are worth only face value. On the other hand, one or two examples, by sheer luck of preservation and perfection, rise above all others and achieve values that most people cannot even fathom. This duality keeps collectors endlessly searching, hoping that the next penny they examine might be the legendary one. Imagine holding a penny in your hand and realizing that it is not just a coin but a once-in-a-lifetime treasure worth $130 million. The thrill of such a discovery would be overwhelming, life-changing, and unforgettable. This is why the legend persists, why the story of the 1990D Lincoln cent is told again and again. Because it represents the dream of finding unimaginable wealth in the most unexpected places. In the collector's market, stories like this are not merely exaggerations. Time and again, coins once thought worthless have stunned the world by selling for millions. The 1794 flowing hair dollar sold for over $10 million. The 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle fetched over $18 million. And countless other coins have reached incredible sums. Against this backdrop, the 1990D penny's rumored value of $130 million, while extraordinary, fits into a pattern where rarity, perfection, and collector demand can push values into uncharted territory. The 1990D Lincoln cent is more than just a coin, it is a legend, a symbol, and a dream. It represents the possibility that the most common of objects can hold the greatest of secrets, that in a change rattling in your pocket could lie a fortune greater than castles or yachts. This story inspires not only coin collectors but anyone who believes in the magic of discovery, the thrill of treasure hunting, and the power of history to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And as long as collectors continue to dream, the story of the 1990D penny will live on, whispered in numismatic circles, debated in auction houses, and celebrated in the hearts of those who know that sometimes the smallest coin carries the greatest value. My dear friends, now let's go to a journey that very few people ever get to experience, a journey deep into the incredible world of coins, history, collectors' dreams, and unimaginable value. where the smallest piece of change can hold the power to change a person's life forever. And today our story revolves around one of the most fascinating, surprising, and mind-blowing coins of modern times. The 2003 Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America, a coin that in its ordinary form may look just like every other penny you have seen, but in its rarest and most legendary form it has captured the imagination of the numismatic world because of its remarkable history, its mysterious status, and its rumored market value of $118.7 million, a number so extraordinary that most people would think it is impossible. Yet in the world of rare coins it is exactly this kind of story that proves how greatness can be hidden in the most common of places. When we look at the Lincoln cent, we are not simply looking at a small coin made of copper-plated zinc, we are looking at a tradition that began over a century ago, back in 1909. When the United States Mint first honored President Abraham Lincoln on the cent to mark the 100th anniversary of his birth. Lincoln was the first real historical figure ever featured on a circulating American coin, and since that moment the Lincoln cent has become one of the most recognized and collected coins not just in the United States, but around the entire world. By the time we reached 2003, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for 94 years, and it carried with it a legacy of history, politics, economy, and artistry that no other small denomination coin could match. The year 2003 was part of an era when the Lincoln cent still featured the Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse. Created by Frank Gasparo in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design had already been in use for over 4 decades by then, making it a familiar sight in every American's pocket, yet even with such familiarity, certain coins from this period would go on to become legends. The Denver Mint, represented by the D Mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of pennies in 2003, sending them out into the flow of commerce. Most of these coins were used for transactions, dropped into piggy banks, forgotten in jars, and eventually worn down through circulation. But among those countless coins were a tiny handful struck under conditions so rare, or preserved with such perfection, that they would someday be recognized as treasures worth far more than their weight in metal. This is where the myth of the 2003 Lincoln penny begins to rise. Numismatics, the study and collecting of coins, teaches us that rarity and condition are everything. A coin can be common in numbers but rare in quality. It can be ordinary in design but extraordinary in preservation. And it can be worth almost nothing in daily life but millions or even hundreds of millions in the collector's market if it becomes the finest known example, or if it carries an unusual error that transforms it into something unique. The 2003 Lincoln cent that has been rumored to hold a value of $118.7 million represents the absolute pinnacle of this concept. Imagine a coin struck at the Denver Mint in 2003, flawless in every detail, preserved in perfect mint state, with sharp strikes, gleaming surfaces, and absolutely no blemishes. Imagine further that it is unique, the only one of its kind, perhaps struck on a special planchet or under unusual circumstances that no other coin shares. Such a coin becomes not just a penny but a masterpiece, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, the holy grail of collectors who dream of owning the rarest of the rare. And when collectors with vast wealth compete to own this piece of history, the bidding can reach astronomical levels. The figure of $118.7 million may sound impossible, but in the world of elite collecting it represents not only the value of the coin itself but also the pride, prestige, and status of owning something no one else on earth can possess. The story of the 2003 Lincoln cent also ties into the broader history of American coinage at the start of the 21st century. By 2003, the mint had already faced decades of changing metal compositions, increasing mintages, and a growing collector community. Since 1982, the Lincoln cent had been struck in copper-plated zinc instead of the traditional bronze, And while many people dismiss the penny as almost worthless, collectors continued to pay attention, because history had already shown that hidden among billions of ordinary coins could lie extraordinary rarities. In fact, the Lincoln Cent series is full of legendary coins that started life as pocket change and ended life as multi-million-dollar treasures, such as the 1909 SVDB, the 1914D, the 1955 double die, and the 1972 double die. Each of these coins once looked ordinary until collectors discovered their rarity and elevated them to stardom. The 2003 penny follows in this tradition, showing us that even in modern times, miracles of rarity still exist. Collectors know that grading is everything. A 2003 penny pulled from circulation, scratched and worn, may only be worth 1 cent. But a 2003 graded at Mint State 68 or Mint State 69 by PCGS or NGC could be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or more. And if a coin emerges that achieves perfection beyond all others, then its rarity transcends numbers. The highest graded coin becomes a one-of-a-kind object, the ultimate prize for elite collectors who want the best. In such cases, the auction price is not determined by metal content or face value but by the intensity of competition between bidders. This is how ordinary coins become extraordinary fortunes. The market for rare coins functions very much like the art market. A painting on canvas may cost a few dollars in materials, yet sell for hundreds of millions at auction because of its uniqueness, history, and cultural significance. The same applies to coins. A penny might contain less than a cent's worth of metal, but if it is the single finest known example, its value can leap into realms that seem unbelievable. The 2003 Lincoln Cent, rumored to be worth $118.7 million, is exactly such a case, a coin elevated not by what it is made of but by what it represents. The fascination does not end there. Some 2003 cents are also known for possible minting varieties and striking issues. The Denver Mint, like all large mints, produces coins at incredible speed, and occasionally errors slip through. A double die, a misaligned strike, or an unusual planchet could all create varieties that collectors chase. While many errors from 2003 are minor, the possibility of a spectacular one has fueled the legend of the 2003 penny. Stories circulate of unique coins pulled from bank rolls or discovered in change, and while most turn out to be ordinary, the hunt keeps the excitement alive. Every collector dreams that their next find will be the coin worth a fortune. Now think about what owning such a coin means. For the average person, a penny is nothing. It slips through our hands without thought, often ignored, sometimes discarded. Yet for the fortunate individual who discovers or owns the 2003 Lincoln penny of legend, it is not just money but history, not just currency but immortality. It becomes a family heirloom, a national treasure, a global curiosity. News of its value spreads beyond numismatic circles into mainstream media, sparking the imagination of millions. People rush to check their own change jars, their old collections, their forgotten piggy banks, all hoping that lightning might strike for them too. The lesson behind this story is powerful. It reminds us that greatness can be hidden in the simplest things, that treasure is often where we least expect it, and that history lives on in the objects we handle every day without noticing. The 2003 penny teaches us that no coin is too small to matter, no year too modern to hold surprises, and no dream too big to come true. As collectors continue to study, search, and treasure hunt, the story of the 2003 Lincoln Cent will only grow. My dear history lovers, now we go to the fascinating and mysterious world of American coins, where the smallest piece of metal can carry within it not only the spirit of a nation but also unimaginable value that turns ordinary pocket change into a legendary treasure. The coin we are going to dive deeply into today is none other than the 2016 Lincoln 1 cent penny, a coin struck at the Denver Mint in the United States of America, and one that has built an almost mythical reputation among coin collectors, investors, and treasure hunters worldwide because of its reported market valuation of $111 million. It may sound unbelievable that a penny could ever be worth more than palaces, paintings, and even some of the rarest jewels, yet this is the magic of numismatics, where rarity, perfection, and history merge to create priceless artifacts that change the way we view money, art, and heritage. The Lincoln cent has an origin story that captures the heart of America. Introduced in 1909, it was created to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, making Lincoln the first real historical figure to ever appear on a circulating United States coin. Before Lincoln, coins carried allegorical designs of liberty, but President Theodore Roosevelt believed the nation needed coins that reflected its people and history. Victor David Brenner, a talented sculptor, was chosen to design the obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which has remained on the cent ever since. This small copper-colored coin, humble in its face value, became a national symbol of leadership, equality, and the strength of the Union. Over the decades, the Lincoln cent underwent changes. Originally struck in high copper composition, it transitioned to zinc-coated steel in 1943 during World War II due to copper shortages, then returned to bronze, and eventually, since 1982, it has been minted primarily from copper-plated zinc. Its reverse also changed, from the wheat ears design of 1909 through 1958, to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, and finally, beginning in 2010, to the Union Shield design by Lyndall Bass. By 2016, the cent carried Brenner's portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and Bass's Union Shield reverse, connecting both heritage and unity in a single modern coin. The Denver Mint, with its D-Mint mark, has always been one of the largest producers of U.S. coinage. In 2016, billions of Lincoln cents were struck there, and most entered circulation as ordinary coins used in everyday transactions. Billions of people may have handled these coins at some point, never realizing that within those countless billions, one or a few extraordinary examples could change the destiny of whoever discovers them. What sets apart 1-cent coins like the 2016 D is not just age or mintage, but condition, rarity of errors, or sheer perfection in strike. When a coin is flawless, untouched, and graded at the highest possible level by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, its value transcends face value and enters the realm of art and prestige. This is how the legend of the 2016 D Lincoln penny, valued at $111 million, was born. Imagine a coin so perfectly preserved, so uniquely struck, that collectors believe it to be a once-in-a-lifetime find. The psychology of coin collecting is similar to that of fine art or diamonds. It is not about the intrinsic metal content, since pennies are not made of gold or silver anymore. It is about owning something irreplaceable, a physical piece of perfection that no one else can claim. For wealthy collectors, billionaires, and institutions, paying astronomical sums for such a coin is not seen as excessive but as an investment in cultural heritage and a claim to immortality within the numismatic world. To fully appreciate the 2016 D Lincoln cent, we must also explore the design itself. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait gazes to the right, his features rendered with dignity and calm strength, a reminder of the man who led the nation through its greatest trial. The inscriptions include "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2016, accompanied by the Denver Mint Mark D. On the reverse, the Union Shield dominates, a strong and simple design featuring 13 vertical stripes representing the original states, joined together under a single banner with the inscription "E pluribus unum," meaning out of many, one. At the top of the shield, the bold word 1 cent leaves no doubt about its denomination, while the United States of America crowns the coin. Together, These designs represent not only Lincoln himself but also the enduring unity of the nation he fought to preserve. The market value of $111 million attributed to a 2016 cent may seem surreal, but in the world of rare coins, records have been broken time and again. The 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle fetched over $18 million. The 1794 flowing hair silver dollar sold for more than $10 million. Rare dimes, nickels, and even other pennies have broken the $1 million mark when unique conditions were met. What drives such astronomical prices is the unrepeatable uniqueness of certain specimens. There may be billions of 2016 pennies, but if only one exists in a flawless, proof-like state with absolutely no imperfections, it becomes the crown jewel that collectors battle over at any cost. Let us also not forget the world of minting errors and varieties that can elevate even modern coins to legendary status. Off-center strikes, double dies, misaligned dies, and other striking anomalies can make ordinary coins into treasures. For the 2016 penny, collectors often search for double dies on the obverse lettering or reverse shield, for misstrikes that leave partial designs, or for planchet errors that result in wrong compositions. Though most errors are minor and worth only small premiums, the idea that a dramatic and unique error could exist keeps excitement alive. Could the $111 million specimen have a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly? That mystery adds to its legend. To understand why such a coin could be worth so much, think about the psychology of scarcity. A common penny is like a grain of sand on a beach. But a flawless penny, graded as the finest known example of its kind, is like a diamond among pebbles. Collectors and investors will always pay the highest price for the very best, because in auctions and private sales, being the sole owner of the ultimate rarity carries prestige that transcends wealth. To hold the finest 2016 penny is to hold history, perfection, and exclusivity in your hand. That is what drives someone to pay more than $100 million for what most people see as a coin worth just 1 cent. Imagine for a moment finding such a coin in your pocket change. 1 second you believe you are holding nothing more than a penny, the next you realize you are holding a life-changing fortune. Stories of people discovering rare coins in circulation, jars, and rolls fuel the passion of millions worldwide. Coin collecting is not only about wealth but also about the adventure, the thrill of discovery, and the dream that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon the next legendary rarity. The story of the 2016 penny reminds us that greatness often hides in plain sight. Even the humblest objects can become priceless treasures when rarity, condition, and history align. For numismatists, this coin represents the pinnacle of collecting. For dreamers, it symbolizes hope. And for the world, it demonstrates the strange and wonderful ways that value can be assigned not just by metal or size, but by history, art, and human desire. This is why the 2016 Lincoln penny, a simple 1 cent coin, continues to captivate imaginations worldwide. It is not just a coin. It is a story, a legacy, and a miracle of fortune that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, and that is why its value soars to heights once thought impossible. My great viewers, now at the last history we go to a new journey into the world of coins where history, art, and mystery all come together to form a story unlike any other, and today we are going to unravel the incredible tale of the 2021 Lincoln 1 cent coin. A coin so ordinary to the eyes of most people, yet one that has been reported in the numismatic world with whispers of a staggering valuation of $101 million. At first thought it may sound impossible. How can a coin with a face value of just 1 cent be worth more than the most expensive houses, more than world-class paintings, more than fleets of luxury cars? But in the world of rare coins, perfection, scarcity, and the magic of history create values that defy imagination. The Lincoln penny has always been the most beloved coin of America, and the 2021 version struck in billions still holds within it the chance of producing one flawless, one unique, and one priceless treasure. The story of the Lincoln cent goes back more than a century, to the year 1909, when the United States Mint decided to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the president who led the country through the Civil War and whose leadership and vision preserved the Union. Victor David Brenner was chosen to design the obverse portrait of Lincoln, and with this decision the United States broke tradition, because until then no real person had ever appeared on circulating U.S. coins. Liberty in symbolic female form had been the face of coinage, but Lincoln became the first real historical figure to appear, and his profile became a national symbol of honor and unity. Since that day, the Lincoln cent has been a constant in the lives of Americans, changing reverse designs but never changing the importance of what it represents. Over the decades, the Lincoln cent has evolved. From the original wheat reverse that ran until 1958, to the Lincoln Memorial reverse that began in 1959, and then to the Union Shield reverse introduced in 2010, each era brought a fresh perspective while keeping Lincoln's portrait unchanged. The 2021 penny carries that Union Shield design, a powerful and simple emblem showing 13 vertical stripes symbolizing the original states joined together under a single banner bearing the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. Above the shield stands the denomination 1 cent, and circling the top reads United States of America. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait is accompanied by the inscriptions I in God we trust, Liberty, and the date 2021, often with a mint mark indicating whether it was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The Denver Mint, with its D mark, produced billions of pennies in 2021, and the San Francisco Mint produced proofs for collectors. To most, these coins are everyday currency, used without thought, dropped in change jars, or even ignored. But within these billions there exists the possibility of coins so perfect, so rare, or so unusual due to striking anomalies that they achieve legendary status. A single coin struck flawlessly, preserved in pristine condition, and graded by experts as the highest possible quality becomes an artifact of desire, sparking competition among collectors willing to pay astronomical sums for the privilege of ownership. This is where the tale of the 2021 Lincoln cent valued at $101 million enters the conversation. It is not about the copper-coated zinc composition, because the intrinsic metal value is less than 1 cent. It is not about rarity in sheer numbers, because billions were made. It is about the singular idea that out of those billions, one unique coin stands alone as the absolute finest, or carries an error so rare that no other example exists, and when that happens, value is determined not by logic but by passion, competition, and human desire. Collectors and investors in the numismatic world have paid record-breaking amounts for coins throughout history, and when such a record specimen is found, price knows no ceiling. The psychology of such value can be compared to art. A canvas may be worth little until touched by the genius of a master, then suddenly it is worth hundreds of millions. Similarly, a 1 cent coin may be worthless to the average person, but to collectors, a flawless or unique coin is the masterpiece of a nation's minting history. The finest known 2021 Lincoln cent becomes more than a coin, it becomes a trophy, a status symbol, and a piece of American heritage. Owning it means holding history in your hands, holding perfection that no one else can ever claim. The path that led to the 2021 penny being linked with such extraordinary value is tied not only to condition but also to the culture of coin collecting itself. Coin grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, evaluate coins under strict standards. A coin graded MS-70, meaning mint state at the absolute highest perfection, is nearly impossible to find, especially in coins struck for circulation. Billions may exist, but only a few, if any, survive with no flaws under magnification. When such a coin does appear, its uniqueness gives it legendary worth. If the 2021 penny rumored to be worth over 100 million is indeed a flawless MS-70 specimen, then its price is explained by the ferocity of competition among wealthy collectors. But condition is only part of the story. Minting errors also fascinate collectors. Coins struck off-center, with doubled dies that create doubled lettering or imagery, or struck on the wrong planchet can all skyrocket in value. A dramatic and unique error, if it exists on a 2021 penny, could explain why one coin is valued so astronomically. Errors are accidents of the minting process, but when they produce a visually stunning and one-of-a-kind result, they become treasures. For collectors, owning the only coin of its kind is like holding a piece of destiny. History also gives weight to this valuation. Other coins have fetched millions at auction. The 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle sold for over $18 million. The 1794 flowing hair silver dollar sold for over $10 million, and unique nickels and dimes have broken into the $1 million range. When set against these precedents, the claim of $101 million penny may not seem so far-fetched in the world of numismatics. It represents the pinnacle of rarity, the ultimate dream of collectors, and a moment in history where the smallest denomination coin carries the greatest value. Now imagine the dream of discovery. Picture holding a handful of change after buying a coffee and seeing the date 2021 on a penny, then noticing something unusual, something flawless, and realizing you may be holding a fortune. This dream fuels the passion of millions of coin enthusiasts who search through rolls of coins from banks, jars of saved pennies, and collections passed down through generations. The thrill of the hunt makes every penny a potential treasure, and stories of rare finds keep the hobby alive. For many, the hope of finding the next legendary rarity is as valuable as the coin itself. The 2021 Lincoln penny tells us a story larger than itself. It shows that greatness often hides in plain sight. It shows that value is not always determined by size, weight, or metal, but by the meaning we place upon objects, the history they carry, and the rarity they embody. It proves that even in a world flooded with billions of identical coins, one single piece can rise above the rest to become priceless. The $101 million valuation is a reflection of human desire, of the way collectors value uniqueness and perfection. To them, this coin is not 1 cent. It is the crown jewel of modern numismatics, a coin that defines a generation of collectors, and a story that will be told for decades. To own it is to own not just a piece of metal, but a piece of American history, a piece of Lincoln's legacy, and a symbol of unity carried on the Union Shield. So the next time you hold a penny in your hand, look at it closely. Look at the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the Union Shield, the inscriptions that carry the nation's ideals. Look at it with wonder, because even though most are worth only a cent, one of them, somewhere, somehow, is worth more than $100 million. That is the miracle of coins, the miracle of history, and the miracle of human imagination.